What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Danny's Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Rob, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of catching up and discussing some ideas I got for the podcast, as well as some of these early spring anime releases, some recent drama shows I've been watching, and of course, I got to talk about the freaking PlayStation price increases that happened the other day. So, I hope everybody out there is doing well. Hope everybody out there enjoyed your weekend. If you celebrated Easter, happy Easter to you. But before we dive into all that, as always, if this is your first time here, then welcome. But if you're a returning listener and or watcher, then welcome back. Y'all know here at Daddy's to Talk, it's all about fatherhood and family, manga, anime, TV shows, movies, and of course, some video games. Man, we are already in April. Like, I don't know how 3 months of the year have already just flew by, but we're in April, and yeah, things just don't stop. Things just don't slow down. So, anybody that's new here, as always, I have timestamps for everything I talk about. So, if you want to jump ahead to the video games or the anime stuff, whatever, check the description, jump ahead. But yeah. So, like I was saying, for the podcast and stuff, man. So just kind of just starting with that really quickly. So I've been kind of reflecting lately, and I feel like I have this conversation like every so often throughout the year and stuff, whatever. But it kind of hit me again of just talking about things at my own pace. Um, and also knowing that, hey, sometimes if I have in my mind to record something that I had recently read, watched, or whatever, I need to do it as soon as possible because just with life being so busy and I dive into so many different things from live action TV shows to anime to video games and all different other type of stuff, whatever, to where it's like stuff will, if I don't talk about it within a certain time frame, it'll, go out my brain, especially as far as like the finer details of some stuff. But as for the podcast itself, is I'm kind of trying to figure out some type of like usual cadence for the podcast. I think I'm trying to do ideally at least two of the main podcast episodes like this every month, and the here and there when I can, maybe a manga review, or like I've done recently as well, like some TV shows or TV series and stuff that I caught up on, like I did For All Mankind uh last week, and then a few months back I caught up on Slow Horses. So just different little things like that. It just, like I said, kind of keep like a steady flow and rotation of stuff. Uh, and like I said, just to kind of also just pace myself. And I've also been thinking about, like, there's been like a lot of ideas and things I've been wanting to discuss. And I'm like, well, even if it's just like a 15, 20-minute thing or whatever, that can just kind of help fill in some of the gaps to where it's like, hey, just kind of like evergreen discussions. Like, I've been wanting to do a discussion about just being a gamer dad and raising a gamer family and stuff. Like, I can record that whenever, sit on it, and release it whenever. Oh, it's a slow week, or hey, I'm tired. Hey, that'll be where those things can come out. So yeah, so we'll see. I'm trying to play around with the timing of stuff. I think I want to try to get back to recording the main podcast over the weekend, and then having that drop ideally Monday, if not Tuesday at the latest, and then because that way I'll have the whole week of different stuff to catch up on, from shows, gaming news, things like that. Time to think about it, process it over the weekend, record it on the weekend, and boom. And then stuff like manga reviews, like I said, it'll be either maybe a off week where there's not going to be a podcast episode, or I might, depending on what it is, that'll be like a Friday or just later in the week release type of thing. And I'm saying all this to say, establishing like regular cadence of stuff. So, manga, like I talked about before, is probably one of my top things I do here at Danny's Talk. And I love it. A lot of y'all love it though. Like my manga reviews are mostly like some of my most watched content um over the years and stuff. And so one of the things that I've kind of prided myself upon is finding those hidden gems. So kind of like discovering different series and stuff long before it ever gets an anime and it's not mainstream and stuff like that or whatever. That is a thing that I've become known for, and I like still trying to do that because I'm always keeping an eye on the different manga publishers or websites and stuff on what's coming up. And so I'm always kind of like requesting review copies of certain things, but I'm also getting more comfortable with just not forcing myself to read it because there's been some things where I'm like, okay, that looks different. I don't think nobody's really talked about this or is going to talk about it. Let me request it. And like I read a little bit of it and immediately I'm like, yeah, I'm not even feeling this. And it's like, for me, sometimes I'd rather just not talk about it at all versus, potentially bad mouthing and stuff. Not to say I can't talk about something through a critical lens, but sometimes it's like if I feel like I can't do that in the right way, I'd rather just ignore it and just not even talk about the thing, or at least not give it its own full review, separate thing, whatever, or just throw it somewhere in the middle of another show. But and the other thing too, with the timing and stuff, whatever, is I want to get back to taking my time with video games and stuff because I've noticed in the last couple of years, um, I'll start a lot of stuff, but I don't finish a lot of stuff, and a lot of times it's because obviously with my schedule and stuff, I don't get to play as much as I would like to a lot of days. But when I do have the time, whatever, it's like, okay, I need to try to stick to the stuff I'm playing while I'm in that pocket. Because otherwise, like, prime example, like Ghost of Yote, still hadn't finished it. I think I maybe did two or three of the Yote 6. And it's like, yeah. And that was back in October. Earlier this year, I started that that Paper Mario RPG inspired game Escape from Ever After. Got pretty deep in that. Didn't finish it. Pacopia. It's already been a month ago that came out now. Got pretty deep in that. Kind of fallen off a little bit. But that one is one that I can kind of still, it's not a combat type of thing. So it's easy to kind of go back to that compared to like Ghost of Yote. I booted that up a few days ago. And it's just like I'm out in the middle of a field and I'm like, crap, what was I doing? And then trying to relearn all the controls and stuff. Same thing with Lies of P. The list goes on and on and on. So my point is trying to be better about just kind of sticking to one thing at a time, especially like I said with gaming wise, and just kind of get through them before, I'm kind of taking on too many different things. Um, but yeah, so we'll kind of see how things play out with the podcast and things of that nature in this near future. Like some kind of experiment with the releasing and different stuff like that. Also being comfortable with doing some shorter episodes from time to time because I know like a lot of the main podcast stuff has historically been an hour plus long episodes. But recently I've been listening to. I believe it's called New Dad Gaming Podcast. They've been going for I think like 10 years or something, whatever. But it's of course two dads, they record and it's about just 30, 40 minutes or whatever. And I'm like, it's a nice digestible pocket to be in and stuff. So, but we'll kind of see. Cause like I said, considering how much stuff I do like to talk about or whatever, I don't always have to fit it all into, you know, one super long episode. Though I know some of y'all do enjoy the longer episodes because some of y'all, like myself, have pretty long commutes to work, whether it be driving or riding the bus and different stuff like that or whatever. So I understand how y'all feeling out there, but yeah. So we'll kind of see how things go from there. So I'm gonna kind of go ahead and just dive into talking about some of this gaming stuff from recent. Okay, so diving into some game talk. Uh, yeah, man. So, a little side note on top before I get to the price increase stuff, whatever. So, I think it was maybe the same day that the prices went up on the PlayStation 5. There was a extremely short term PlayStation Cash App promotion where on Cash App in the little offer section, they had a little offer for it was 50% off. Basically, if you bought something, if you added this promotion to your Cash App account and then you bought something off of the PlayStation Network using your Cash App account, it was discounted by 50%. So that went out and it was supposed to be a 30-day thing of like, hey, you add it to your Cash App and you have 30 days, to use it or whatever. Of course, Wario posted it on Twitter. So it got millions of views or whatever, and people were going ham. So, prime example, I tried it out and I got Pragmata. I pre-ordered Pragmata and got it for $33 because the base price of the game is 60. So got it for $33. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take it. A lot of people were pre-ordering like Sorrows. A lot of people, of course, picked like Crimson Desert, lots of other stuff. So, but before the night was over with, unfortunately, they shut down that that program, which sucks because it's like, hey, I put it up there, whatever, and and I know a lot of people saw it while they were maybe at work or whatever, and were like, okay, cool, I'll save this and figure out what I'm gonna buy tonight when I get home. Well, by the time a lot of people got home that night, it was already done. Cause I'm gonna say your boy, I was about to run it up, cause I tried it on my Cash App, it worked. My wife had the promotion thing on her Cash App, so I was like, ooh, I'm gonna try that later. And of course, I got 5 kids, and I think 3 or 4 of my 5 kids all got Cash App accounts. But they were all at school. 'Cause I think this happened. I think I was off of work or something. I don't remember, but they were all they were either going to school or they might have been at practice or training something or whatever. Everybody was gone from the house. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, when everybody gets home tonight, hey, open up them Cash App accounts, see if we can buy some games. But sadly, it got shut down before everybody got home. But yeah. So now on to the whole pricing thing. So this happened on April 2nd. So a few days ago, it's already passed or whatever. Um, but they increased worldwide the pricing of all the PlayStation 5 related devices. So I'm gonna start and I'm gonna only just speak on just the US prices because that's where I'm at, but it went up everywhere in every region across the world. So the PlayStation Portal increased from $199 to $250. Uh the base model PS5 was $550. It is now $650. PS5 digital was $500. It is now $600. And the big boy, the PlayStation 5 Pro, was $750. It is now $900. Man, it is now $900 for a PlayStation 5 Pro. freaking $650 for a base PS5. And I need to show y'all something before I continue this. Okay, so with all the chaos going on, I had to make a business decision. So as you can see, I got a PS5 Pro. Before the price increase happened, um, cause I had been debating since it came out, which is crazy. It came out in fall of 24. So I had already kind of like over like the last year kind of been debating of like, okay, do I get one or just kind of write it out until the PS6 come? Well, with this going up in price, whatever, I'm like, man, and with all the manufacturing stuff going on worldwide or whatever, they're like the new consoles probably going to get pushed back another year or two or whatever. So I was like, I don't know, been debating it or whatever. But then when I saw how much it was going to go up, I was like, let me just go ahead and pull the trigger now. Now, thankfully, what I did, because I was like, I got the money to do it, but shout out to payment plans. So did like a little payment plan or whatever where I just split it up over the next 3 months or whatever, no interest or whatever. It's like, hey, do I drop all the money right now, or I got the money but I can just spread it out, over a couple of months or whatever. And that's what I decided to end up doing or whatever. So I went and got that, and went and just freaking bought me a new headset. Cause my PlayStation headset that I've had, I think since I got my PS5, whatever, of course, between me using it, family and stuff, whatever, it's all tattered and stuff. It still works, but I was like, yeah, I need something new. So I went and bought the new one or whatever. And I was kind of laughing when I went to go. Now, I will say, hey, they had, obviously, I'm fortunate enough to live in a very dense, highly populated city metroplex. So I had no problems finding one or whatever. But it was kind of funny because it was like, because at first I was like, well, do I trade in my old PS5, a GameStop Torja Pro, get it for a little bit cheaper and stuff like that, da 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 da. But but there was tons of options and places to get it because it was like, okay, I could order it online and do a pickup in store, depending on where I picked it up. It's gonna be maybe a couple of days, several days later. One option was having it shipped to home, and it would have been here because this was I did it. This was a Thursday or Friday. Let me see, March 27th. So okay, yeah. This was a Friday that they announced it. So it's like I could have ordered it online. It would have been here that Sunday. So anyway, my point is I had options, but I was like, man, something like this, I'd rather do in-store pickup or whatever. And there was a Best Buy not that far from me or whatever that had, hey, if you do, I did it Friday night. I was able to go pick it up Saturday morning. And it was funny when I went in there or whatever, there was like several PS5 Pros in the little pickup section or whatever. So I was like, yeah, clearly I'm not the only one that had the same thought. And of course, all over social media, all this past week, people were like, hey, pull the trigger, pull the trigger. And the reason why I ended up not trading in my PS5, because it's like, man, I got this freaking big family. Like my sons, like my oldest two sons, Jay and Andre, they were like, yeah, hey, what, hey, did you? I think I was taking my oldest son to practice or something or whatever, and he was like, hey, so did you get the PS5 Pro? Because I'm guessing he probably saw the box somewhere or somewhere when he came in the room at one point or whatever. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, okay. He was like, what you gonna do with your old PlayStation? And I was like, don't worry about it. I said, I'm gonna put it out there for y'all to use or whatever. And so that's part of what I did yesterday on Saturday was I just took time and I just went ahead and made all three of my sons PlayStation accounts or whatever. So I did the whole setup and stuff, and uh, let them pick their online names and stuff. And even Mr. Vash, I went ahead because he's been long overdue. Because I told y'all I made him his own local account on my PlayStation years ago because there was a situation where I've mentioned before, but I don't know why. But my son, Mr. Vash, he loves just restarting games. Don't know why. He just new game. And so he did that one time on my Rayman Legends save file. Now remember, Rayman Legends came out in 2013. And so this is a 10 plus year old save file that I've been playing on for over a decade. Before I met my wife, before I had any kids, family, long before Vash was even thought of. And one time I think he might have managed to do it on two separate occasions, but I know for sure the last time it happened, thankfully, the save file didn't sync with the cloud. So I still had it was some months old, but I still had a more current save file in the cloud that I was able to pull back down. And from that day forward, I password protected my PlayStation 5 account on the system to where, if you click on my profile, you have to enter in a passcode to get into it because I was like, yeah, never again. And so I created him his own just local account or whatever, where, hey, because at the time, I only had the one PS5. He's itty bitty, whatever, whatever. Well, now, he's 8, be 9 later this year. And so I was okay. Now, with us having multiple systems, I was like, okay, let me go ahead and set him up with a child account or whatever. And of course, I picked a very, in my eyes, very dope online name for him. Very Vash the Stampede coded. I'm not gonna say what it is, but maybe someday y'all find out. But yeah, so created that or whatever and put it out there. And like earlier today, my oldest son, he went to a Dallas Mavericks game because one of his teammates that he plays AAU with or whatever, his dad is one of the lead medical staff people for the Dallas Mavericks. So they always, of course, get into the games and stuff, whatever. So my son has gotten to go to a few games recently. So tonight he got to go to the Mavericks Lakers game, whatever, and he gets to go into the family room and stuff where all the players' families and stuff are. And he finally got to meet and take a picture with Cooper Flag and some other people and stuff, whatever. So very dope stuff, whatever. But anyway, saying all that to say, while he was gone at that, my middle son booted up and he was playing Miles Morales because I went ahead and just downloaded some stuff I knew that they wanted to play. Like my oldest son, he's been wanting to go through and finish Last of Us 1 and Last of Us 2. And my middle son, he's been wanting to play like the Spider-Man games and God of War games and stuff. So I went ahead and downloaded stuff like that on there for them. And so, yeah, they are very happy to have that. And I got this new butte here, which once again, going back to me talking about being busy and stuff earlier, hadn't really even got to play it much, whatever, but I got it. Like I said, I got Pragmata coming in a couple of weeks, whatever, so that'll be my first like new game. I'll get to play all of that stuff. So, but yeah, so it is just these gaming prices and stuff, man, have been just insane. And honestly, and this is something like I said, I think I want to do something separate on another day, but just like with everything becoming so much more expensive, it sucks even more so for me because everybody in my house, I got wife, 5 kids, everybody plays games to some extent. My daughters, luckily they're not too heavy on it or whatever. They mainly play Fortnite, Roblox, general stuff like that or whatever. But each of my sons, they are heavy to in different aspects of it. Like my oldest, like Jay, he'll play, of course, him and Andre, they'll my two oldest boys, of course, they'll play 2K and college football and stuff together. But then like my oldest son, you just never know with him. Like one day he's playing Hitman, then Assassin's Creed, then Sniper Elite, then you know Last of Us, something else, whatever. And my middle son, he's more so the kind of like multiplayer social gamer type of person because like he plays this game. Him and Vash love playing this game on the. They have a Quest 3 headset or Quest 2, I think. This game called Gorilla Tag or something like that that they love playing with their friends and stuff. And I told you. My middle son, he's 13, but I remember back when he was like 9 or 10, him and his friends were heavy playing Rainbow Six Siege. like like what world are we in where it's a group of 10-year-olds playing hardcore Rainbow Six Siege? But hey, they were doing it back then. But anywho, so but all that being said, it's like the price of consoles is going up and the price of uh these different subscriptions going up or whatever. It's just so much stuff nowadays, man. But I'm doing my best trying to find sales and discounts and payment plan, whatever little things, coupons I can use and do to still keep the gaming going, but do it in a financially responsible way, to say the least. So, bam. So, just like I said, just wanted to just touch on that a little bit because yeah, that was definitely kind of like the big thing, um, gaming wise over the last couple of weeks that I wanted to make sure I touched on the podcast. And let me see, was there any other gaming related stuff before I move on? Yeah, there was one more quick thing. So Nintendo had announced that at least for their first party games, the games that they produce, there's going to start being a price difference between the retail physical copies and the digital editions, and it's going to be a $10 difference. So, basically, if a new Nintendo game is $70 physically, it'll be 60 digitally, so on and so forth. 50 physically, be 40 digitally. So I'm like, oh, okay. So that'd be pretty interesting to see um, how that plays out in the long term, which hey, I am down for because I am for the most part like 99% digital at this point, and a lot of that is mainly because with my family and stuff, whatever, it's like I'd rather just always have quick access to stuff, whatever, and it's easier because especially like my Switch 2, for example, like I'm always on the go or whatever. Vash is playing it a lot of stuff, and it's like I don't necessarily want to have a bunch of cartridges that I'm trusting an 8-year-old to keep up with and stuff like that. I'd rather just buy them digitally or whatever, have them downloaded on the system, and that's that. Same thing with the PlayStations and stuff, whatever. It's like, especially now that I got two in the house, I can still keep my old one as my primary PS5, so that anything I buy, I can download to that system, and anybody in the house that logs into that one can play it, and then I can also play it as I'm logged in on my PS5 Pro or whatever, and online and stuff, whatever, or it's under my name, so I can still play that stuff, whatever. So that's kind of a nice way to kind of you know meet both ways or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that might bite me in the butt down the road with the whole not having physical copies of it, but for the most part, I have become content, like I said, just with the nature of my life and everything, just having stuff just more easily accessible, um, and especially being, a lot of people limited physical space as well. So, but yeah, so that's it for the gaming talk, I believe. Uh, yeah, that's it. Like I said, Pragmata coming in a couple of weeks, as well as that uh Mouse PI for Hire, that look kind of like noir, old school animation style game, or whatever. I'm looking forward to that, and yeah. So let's move on to the next topic. All right, so I'm gonna very briefly touch on a couple of TV shows I have checked out recently. So the main or one of the big ones that finished up that I watched was Paradise season 2. Now, I don't know why, but like those early couple of episodes, like episode 1 was interesting, episode 2 I also really liked, but I don't know why, but just like episode 3, whatever. I think at first it was kind of like the back and forth, and I was more so still wanting to stick with the stuff going on in the bunker or whatever. So I just stopped watching for like a few weeks or whatever, and I ended up catching up right before the uh, episode 8, I believe, the season finale, or whatever, and really enjoyed it, or whatever, because just kind of like seeing everything kind of all these different seemingly different pieces starting to come to a head with Xavier obviously out there trying to find his wife and meeting this lady who's pregnant and this guy leading this group of people trying to find the bunker, all these different pieces going on or whatever. Overall it came together really well. Like I really 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 ended up liking season 2 of Paradise. Um, and it wrapped up in a satisfying way to where it sets up season 3, which I believe is supposed to be the final season. So it sets that up nicely, but without it feeling too cliffhangery compared to like how season 1 was. So yeah, so I'm just excited for more Paradise. I'm glad to see more people finally checking it out and giving it a chance and stuff because it is definitely a really cool uh, type of show. Other show, I still need to finish up. I think I still got like 1 or 2 episodes I need to finish up on Cross season 2. Don't know, just hadn't really been feeling it. Uh, Reacher. So I finally just out of the blue, like a couple weeks ago, whatever, was just like, F it. Let me watch, let me finally check out this Reacher show, whatever. And as of a few hours ago, I have now finished 2 seasons of Reacher. Man, this show is just so freaking cool. It is just so much fun. Like, I love, I don't know, kind of like how dry in a sense and straight to the point Reacher is with his cartoony like one punch lines and stuff, or punchlines and stuff. I said one punch like I'm One Punch Man, but like punchlines and stuff. Like it's just like such a fun show to watch that has a great cast of characters like both Reacher and of course Neely. I love her, and then like with season 2 getting to see a lot more of their former squad and stuff. So that's what I liked about. So like season 1, and I guess just backing up a little bit. So Reacher, I know it's based off of a series of novels, but it follows a kind of like ex-military guy who led this kind of like special force investigative group back in the day, and he kind of is just a wanderer now where he just kind of just drifts in from town to town. Well, he ends up in this town in Georgia where he ends up getting uh, framed or blamed for a murder that happened because it's like, hey, new mysterious guy show up in town. Hey, same time that a murder happens. And so that's kind of how that snowball starts going. And I kind of really like the kind of like small town, like shady, small town vibe of season 1. as you're kind of starting to just kind of getting a feel for the flow and vibe of the show. And then I really like how season two really expanded it to where it's like, hey, now you're kind of getting to see more backstory on Reacher and his team that he ran with, and how a lot of them are in trouble and different things like that. And that mystery and stuff was really cool. So now I'm very excited to continue from there and see how season three goes and where things escalate from there. So, but yeah, Reacher, if you're looking for just like a really cool, just kind of like turn off your brain and enjoy just like action drama type of show, then yeah, Reacher is one to watch. So, I think that might be it for like the regular TV show stuff. Of course, For All Mankind season 5 is out, and I've been enjoying that so far. Like we're only 2 episodes in, but it's like been really good. Like we had a really strong episode 2 the other night, um, and stuff. So, but yeah. Otherwise, I think that might be it. Speaking of though, speaking of For All Mankind, like it was really cool last week getting to watch the live stream of the NASA Artemis 2 launch and stuff. It's like them kind of preparing to, you know, go back to the moon and potentially build a lunar base and stuff, whatever, which is kind of exciting in a way. Like I said, especially as somebody who just watched all of For All Mankind, that was something that happened in one of the earlier seasons, and now in season 5 we're on freaking Mars and stuff like that. And it's just like the kind of like nerdy sci-fi child in me is kind of thinking like, man, it would be kind of dope if like in my lifetime I get to see some type of base or something built on the moon. And heck, maybe if I survive long enough, maybe even get to see that thrive and stuff, and then them eventually try to venture off to Mars and stuff. But yeah, man, yeah, just some very cool things to observe through all, um, despite all the chaos and stuff happening around us in the world right now. So, but yeah, so that's it for the TV show. So I think we're gonna dive into some of the anime next. All right, so we're gonna kind of end things with talking about some anime. So I was kind of originally gonna hold off on talking about some of these spring anime, but things have already started off so strong to where I'm like, okay, yeah, I gotta at least touch on some of this stuff, because honestly, I was already excited about this season for a multitude of reasons, because there's a few shows that are long awaited coming back getting sequel seasons, but there's also a ton, or there's also several series that I've personally enjoyed reading the manga 4 years ago, or have always been interested in, that I was like, okay, I'm excited that there's a anime coming out for them. So some of them, like for example, just it's okay, new season of Classroom of the Elite, Dr. Stone final season, new season of Reincarnated as a Slime, new season of Angel Next Door, uh, new season of Ascendance of a Bookworm, new season of Welcome to Demon School Aruma. So, like I said, like several returning shows, a new season of ReZero, that I was already kind of like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be solid. New season of Astoria, Mission Yozakura Family, and yeah, so lots of, like I said, like returning stuff, highly anticipated stuff, some stuff that it's been years. In the case of like Ascendance of a Bookworm, it's been like 3 or 4 years since we got the last season and stuff like that. And then it was a few known quantity shows, like I said, stuff that I read, but there are some things like the fact that we still, and I mentioned this online earlier. It's like there's already been some fire first episodes this week, and knowing we still have like another week of shows that haven't even aired yet. And so I'm like, okay, yeah. I am definitely very, very excited um, for this season. And so one of the shows that, okay, I'll just kind of start with this. So this is one that was definitely highly anticipated. Um, Daemons of the Shadow Realm, which this is the new series from, what is the author's name? Hiromu Arakawa, who is the mangaka that did Fullmetal Alchemist back in the day. Now, this is one that I read maybe a few of the manga chapters years ago when it first came out. I think the manga first started in 2021, so 5 years ago already. But it is a monthly release. So I ended up, like I said, I read like a few chapters or whatever. It was okay, this is solid. And never, I hadn't gone back to it or whatever. But it's like when they announced that they were doing an anime, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're doing an anime, and it's being done by Studio Bones, who did Fullmetal Alchemist back in the day. So it's like, okay, it's just like a perfect marriage. But this first episode was really solid, really good. Of course, like good production value on the show, the sound design, visually, and then just the setup and the story. So basically, this story revolves around a set of twins named Yuru and Asa. And this world, at least starting off, is kind of like this like remote village that seems to be kind of like stuck in the past, so to speak. But we learned through this first episode that like no, there was a protective barrier over the village, and most of the people in the village don't have a clue about like modern civilization. And so something happens, barrier goes down, people come in looking for one of the twins and stuff. And so that's kind of where the doors get blown off of this situation, and they do not shy away from the brutality out the gate because it looks really, really gory and stuff, whatever. But like I said, just like a very strong first episode. But um, you know what? I'm gonna go and just touch on the stuff that I was already excited to watch that already came out. So next up, we're gonna touch on Akane Banashi. Bananashi. Now, this is one I've done, I think maybe a few manga discussion episodes on this series over the years, and I've been catching up because the manga just hit another milestone with chapter 200 last week, so I've been catching up. It's been such a great catch up. Um, but this first episode, uh, another one done fantastically. So for people who do not know, Akane Banashi, so the it follows the art of Rakugo, which think of it as kind of like a stage play, stage drama type of thing where a person, is sitting on the stage. They have maybe one prop, which is usually like a fan or something, whatever, and they are telling stories and they are playing out all the different characters within the story themselves. And of course, through, change of voice, facial expressions, different stuff like that, or whatever, to kind of help convey the different characters and stuff. So, this, like I said, follows Akane, who, her father is a Rakugo performer. And so, there's an incident that happens to where her father is no longer able to perform anymore. And so it follows her journey to basically, in a sense, kind of like avenge her father and find out what happened, and also, proving herself as a Rakugo performer. And so this first episode, man, like visually looks great. I already kind of like how they're using, like with animation and stuff, to convey the different Rakugo experiences and stuff. So that, I think that's going to be like a very fun part of the show, is seeing how they kind of like convey the storytelling that these characters are doing on stage. And so, like I said, there are some very cool ways that they already did that this first episode. Now, one thing I'll mention with this show is that um, currently it is not on Netflix worldwide. It's on Netflix in Asia, Asian territories, but it's not going to be on Netflix in like the U.S. and other places until in May, where they're going to be releasing the sub and dub of it. Now, a cool thing though is that the Akane official YouTube channel, they're putting the episodes up for free. So go watch it there. That's where I watched the first episode. Looked great, came out just fine. But yeah, so shout out Akane. And another series from a manga that I enjoyed, Snowball Earth. Now, Snowball Earth, the kind of setup and story of this, and once again, this is another one that I've done some manga discussions on it before, but it follows a young boy named Yukio who ends up being a prodigy pilot for this like robot thing that his father designed, and he ends up using the robot to fight off these are they called space yokai, I believe, or space kaiju, something like that. And basically, that's where he spends most of his childhood into his teen years fighting these kaiju. Well, they go out into space on a mission to basically try to like fully destroy the main core of the monsters. Well, something goes wrong and the mission is a failure, and so Yukio ends up getting sent back. Uh, ends up going back on Earth, but of course this trip takes several years, and so it is a 8-year time skip, and he comes out of cryo sleep to discover that the whole Earth is now in an ice age. And so now he is having to explore and find out like what the heck happened while he was away in space, and like what is the state of the world and what's all going on. So that's kind of like the basic setup and stuff from the first episode. Now, I'll say overall, the first episode was okay. And I say that because like there are some parts of it that look really good, and then some parts with the CG that looks a little wonky, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. But like I said, like when it looks good, it's like, yo, this looks really nice. But like I said, like some of the CG stuff is kind of But I will say though, it has been nice seeing for all these shows I'm gonna talk about, positive online discussions happening around them. Because I know people who have no history with the manga or whatever, they watched the first episode of Snowball Earth and was like, yo, I loved it. It looked good to me. I'm like, okay, cool. That is a positive thing for me to hear. Like I said, as somebody who enjoys the manga and stuff. So glad that there are people that are still enjoying it. All right, so now to these next few. Let's see. Let's start with the Agents of the Four Seasons, because this one already has 2 episodes out. So, Agents of the Four Seasons is animated by Studio Wit. The author of this is the same author who did Violet Evergarden. So, the setup for this is that in this world, the 4 seasons are represented by actual people. So there's some lore setting up how, I don't know if it was like a god, spirit, something, whatever, that gave these abilities to humans and stuff. And so basically, these four people throughout the year, they will perform different dances and singing and stuff, whatever, to summon their season. And so these agents are accompanied by guards and different, it's a whole thing with it. Now, the cool or the interesting thing with this is that the spring agent has been missing for a decade. So, this region that the story starts off in or whatever, they've been in winter for a very long time. And so, because spring doesn't exist, winter now exists twice as long. And so, it's created a harsh environment and different things like that. Well, spring returns, and this show does such a great job of like I mentioned up front, it's studio wit. So like visually, it looks phenomenal. And the story and the setup of like the mystery of like what the heck happened to Spring, like why did she disappear for all these years, and kind of like unraveling that mystery and stuff. And so you have this, like I said, beautiful show, great music, great story setup, and it also has some very cool action sequences and stuff as well, which once I actually thought about it, I'm like, okay, it having action shouldn't be too surprising because the guards for the agents are all carrying swords. So I'm like, at some point, something gonna pop off and they gonna spring into action. And yeah, they they definitely do. And even the uh, agents of the Four Seasons, even they can use their seasonal powers, so to speak, in a combative way. So, yeah. So this show was like, it's one that I've been contemplating reading the manga about for years at this point since I first found out about it. But once again, like some other stuff I mentioned, when I heard that, oh, there's an anime coming eventually, I was like, okay, you know what? I'll hold off. And I'm glad I did because, man, these first two episodes have been fantastic, like super good to watch and stuff. So, and like I said, I'm just very excited to continue seeing where this is all uh, going to go. And so, and this is going to have 14 episodes. So, and I guess just kind of go back, Snowball Earth is going to have 13. Akane, I think it's going to have 12 or 13. I can't remember. Daemons of the Shadow Realm is going to have 24. So it's going to be airing for a good chunk of the rest of the year. All right. So this next one I'm going to talk about is one that I literally just watched just on a whim. And sometimes this is where stuff coming out ahead of like the big onslaught and wave of everything works out, because sometimes it's like, you know what, I'll give this show a try, that show a try, whatever. And that's what happened with this one. So this one is called Kusunoki's Garden of Gods. So it follows this young man named Minato who is assigned to manage his family's countryside estate. Now, there is a brief scene early in at the beginning of the episode where it shows him as a kid with his grandfather, and he kind of starts first getting his abilities awakening where he can start to see spirits and stuff, whatever. But like I said, it skips ahead now. He's an adult and he's living in this family house, whatever. And so um, he unknowingly purifies the area around the estate, thus making it a welcoming place for different gods, deities, and spirits and stuff. And so that's kind of where things kind of just go from there, where there is this like mountain god, this kind of like wolf looking creature in the thumb in the uh, art of the series or whatever, and they kind of start bonding and stuff whatever, and the god is kind of the kind of like mountain god is kind of helping to uh, get him up to speed and just kind of like help him learn about his abilities and different things like that. And so overall, I feel like this is going to be just like a nice, cozy type of show to where it's like, yeah, there is some action and stuff, whatever going on, but at its core, it is just this kind of like semi slice of life. God taking care of his family's estate, meeting all these different gods and spirits and stuff, whatever. And yeah, so this was like I said, just like a nice little surprise. I just wanted to highlight from the stuff that aired this season. Like I said, just I saw it and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just give it a try and watch it on the whim. And I'm glad I did because it's a good show. And this one's also gonna be 12 episodes. I don't know, Juvenage. I don't know if I've ever. Oh yeah, this is this studio's first anime. So good job to them. Because, like I said, it looks really good. All right, so the last one I'm gonna touch on for now is Nippon Sangoku, the Three Nations of the Crimson Sun. Wow, 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 wow. Now, this is one that first got on my radar because I was looking at stuff, um, as I always do, like seeing what stuff is coming up for the spring season. And shout out to the homies Polo and Tail for Mic Check Waifu, which is a Mic Check Waifu, which is a seasonal anime podcast. So every new season, they kind of have a listener write-in thing where they discuss, okay, what are some of your most anticipated shows, so different stuff that you're just excited to watch, even, you might know something about it. And then you pick what is your one sleeper pick, which is supposed to be a show that you know little to nothing about or whatever, aside from maybe a trailer and reading the synopsis or whatever. You haven't read the manga, light novel, no other experience with it, whatever. So as I'm kind of like looking around, and as I mentioned earlier, a lot of stuff that's coming out this season is stuff that I have read before over the years. And so I was looking, and watched the trailer for this, and like the art style of it, like really stands out. It is like really, really striking. And so I was like, you know what? I'll pick this one. It's kind of has like a historical drama vibe to it or whatever. And man, the first episode, really good. So the synopsis of this is a revolution sparked by nuclear war, natural disaster, and misrule leads to the collapse of Japanese society. The country splits into three nations vying for hegemony, and the Sengoku era begins. Mitsumi, a former agricultural officer, values vows to reunify Japan. He rises through the ranks with only his knowledge and eloquence. Witness the legend of the man later hailed as a genius strategist. Now, this one sticks out foremost to the reason because, like I said, the art style, but also because of the subject matter. It's not a lot of kind of like historical type of drama series that come out. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. And man, so for the most part, most of the first episode is like primarily like black and white, except for like certain splashes of color, like obviously like blood and different stuff like that. But it is kind of like a brutal, gritty, drama filled first episode that pulls no punches, is all I'm gonna say about that. But it really does set the stage to get our main character pushed on to doing the strategist stuff, whatever. And yeah, so it's just like a really cool show that, like I said, like really stood out. Surprisingly, it was simul-dub, so it's airing on Amazon Prime. So I clicked play on it, and it defaulted to English. And so, or actually, did it default to English? I can't remember if it defaulted to English or if I was looking at something in the settings and noticed English listed. I was like, wait, what? So yeah, so I'm like, oh, that's a nice little surprise on that front. But anywho, so yeah, so Nippon Sengoku, definitely, like I said, a kind of like a unique show to keep your eyes and stuff on. Cause yeah, very, very cool show. As I'm kind of bouncing through all my backgrounds and stuff. But yeah, man, so I think that's gonna kind of wrap it up. I hit just at an hour. Right before it hits midnight. But yeah, man, this anime season is looking really good. I can't wait for the next wave of shows to come out in the coming days. Like Witch Hat Atelier comes out Monday. Marriage Toxin. What are some other ones that are high on my radar? I'm curious about this Aaron the Southpaw and the Warrior Princess and the Barbaric King. And oh yeah, 100 scenes of Awajima is another one I'm kind of interested in checking out uh, over the coming days and stuff. So, but anywho, um, yeah, that's gonna do it. So, as always, thank you so much for watching and or listening. Remember, you can find me everywhere at Danny's Talks. So let me know what you think of the spring anime shows so far. What are some things that are on your radar that you're excited to check out? As well as let me know what you thought about my discussion earlier about the price of gaming going up, of the gaming hardware and stuff going up, and some of the TV shows I talked about. So, but with all that being said, as I always say, treat yourself to something nice, read some manga, watch some anime TV shows and movies, play some video games, and of course, live your best life. And with that, I am out. Y'all have an awesome rest of your day or week. We're in freaking April. Catch you on the next one. Peace.